Now we're live.
Yeah, we already did 3/4 of the podcast. So I'm gonna have to do it all over again. Sorry. Yeah, Comcast is the Sun Joe of internet. Yeah, thanks for that comment, whoever
comment.
that was. That was a good one. Yeah, I don't know. We went live and we started the darn podcast, and I'm doing my thing, ranting like crazy about fake polar vortexes, and sure enough, we weren't live. So we restarted everything, and we're here. So hello, everyone.
Right on time, 11:27, just like we planned it.
Yeah, that's not good. I'm not a 27-minute late kind of guy, as you might imagine. Although I've been getting pretty good at being aloof and just whatever, willy-nilly. Considering my office is now out in the middle of the garage, so there's papers everywhere. Where did all those papers go? They disappeared. You tuck them in the bottom of a drawer somewhere.
You'll find them one day.
What? Get these out of here.
Matt was away for 4 days at the Rupes Advanced Training, so
yeah.
I was in the office because we hired a new guy, Ryan, who's here with us today, and Ryan took my spot out there in the little, whatever you call that area.
The entryway.
The vestibule.
The
atrium.
Bullpen now. Yeah.
So I was sitting at Matt's desk and eating cheeseburgers and spilled a Coke on there.
Oh, Lord. My desktop is going to be cluttered with stuff all over the Mac desktop.
There's 1,000 screenshots saved on there. Very organized.
The 10 core iMac has now been demoted down to 4 cores because so much dirt on it. Yeah. And then we're doing okay. I'm almost caught up to getting. When I leave, there's so much cool stuff that enters this place that there's just boxes everywhere, and so it takes me a good 2 hours just to dig out of all the boxes of cool stuff. We got our center upper cabinet finally from Sonic. Yeah, it's good.
So you had that waiting for you. You had what else?
Well, Bryce built Ryan's new PC, so now we got 2 pretty stout PCs in this place. It's making me twitch a little bit. I can feel the computer viruses just building as I'm sitting here. And Bryce is gonna come to me. My fan stopped working because the virus ate it, and now I need a new CPU. And yeah, I'm just have a feeling that's the way it's gonna go. Where our MacBook Pros are gonna last, as long as you don't drop it. We're going to last for the next 8 years.
It's already been dropped twice. It does just fine. So you want to give the short version of your Rupes Advanced Training that we talked about while we weren't really live? So you just got back from there.
Yep.
There were 10 people.
Yep.
So smaller classes, more kind of focused, hands-on.
Yep. Yeah, I'll have videos on it. I got quite a bit of decent content from Jason Rose, and I wasn't going to video it. I'm like, I'm stupid. I mean, I've got a video. There's too much good stuff here. And so we got, I probably have 6 or 7 episodes that I'll be coming out with here. I spent some time with the Rotary, got some time with machine sanding, as did all the other guys at the event. Got to spend some time with the Mark III, because all the Mark IIIs that came here, I never got mine because we sold them too quickly. So Mark IIIs are awesome. I'm really psyched about those. I mean, this is probably the most subtle difference of any of the new Rupes polishers, but to me, it's just, I don't know, it's just perfect. I mean, they've really got it dialed in. The balance, smoothness, it's awesome. I really like I just feel a big difference between the Mark II and Mark III. So if you're on the fence, I say get a Mark III, and you can easily sell your Mark II for, maybe 60% of what you paid for it. Even if you're just a hobbyist, I think it's worth the upgrade. I really dig it. A variable trigger, the double feet on the top, it sits upside down much more comfortably. I think it's worth the upgrade. But I got stuck there for an extra day, and yeah.
So what'd you do there with that extra day? I never asked, by the way.
I took a 3-hour nap when the power went out, and ate a bunch. I had to climb 5 floors, and we were at like 6,000 feet, and I almost died. Like, I couldn't believe. I'm just cruising up the steps. I don't even think anything of it. And I get to the top. I'm like, oh my gosh, I can't breathe. Some of the guys had to climb 10 floors because the elevators were out for a little while. But yeah, it's just freaking bull crap. I'm so disappointed in Denver. I thought those people were tough. There must be a bunch of Californians there. That's probably why. It's like it literally snowed 3 inches, and the roads were bad for 2.5, 3 hours. So, it snowed, so they were making this big deal. They're cleaning off all the bread out of all the grocery stores. I mean, this is a Florida thing, I thought. I thought Floridas were the only babies when the rainstorms come and they start panicking. And so there was pure panic. This is the worst storm in 30 years, and it snowed 3 inches. And the roads were bad for a couple hours. There's people driving off the road into the ditches, and it's the craziest thing I've ever seen. And they canceled every flight, so my flight got canceled, and then the whole next day was pure chaos. There were people waiting in line. First of all, I can't figure out what the heck people were doing, because I walk into United. I normally go and check a bag. It's just easier to just walk up and have them print me the thing instead of trying to stick my phone on all the scanners and all that. And so I walk in, I see all these people, and I'm like, oh shoot, well, I'm not going to do that. Grab the app, boom, boom, get my check-in, get my boarding pass. I'm just not going to check the bag. I'll just carry it on. And sure enough, I walked to the line. I walked through and took 10 seconds. There's people waiting there for like 4 or 5 hours, just waiting in line for God knows what. So it was an interesting, chaotic 2.5. It was like Armageddon for 2 inches of snow. It was the craziest thing I've ever seen.
Oh, let's see. Nick claims he got 20 inches of snow at his house, so he must be farther away.
Well, he's in the mountain.
Yeah. All right, let me get it. We'll do this easy question real quick that popped up before we start talking about some other stuff. What dilution ratio do you use Adam's wheel cleaner in the foam cannon?
I put 25% Adams and then 75% water. So I filled it like yay amount and then put the rest of the water in. So it just guessed. Seemed to work pretty well. I'm starting to think more and more maybe the P&S wheel cleaner, it doesn't have sodium thioglycolate, so it doesn't turn purple, but that's kind of unnecessary. I'm starting to like that wheel cleaner more and more. It doesn't have a smell at all. I mean, Adams has a little smell. I don't know. I'm liking that wheel cleaner the more I use, because I've been using it in the foam cannon, or not the foam cannon, my beloved IK foamers. And then we got some Auto Fanatic. He doesn't want me talking about it, so let's pretend I don't have the Auto Fanatic wheel cleaner to play with. He's there. You guys are driving him freaking crazy, so don't email him. He doesn't have any. He's not going to have any for a little while. He'll let you know when he has some, so just freaking leave the guy alone. He's gonna jump off a bridge because you're driving him nuts. So I'm gonna play with that, and I'm not gonna share my findings. So you're gonna have to not know. So I haven't had the version 4. I had the version 3 of it, so I haven't had the version 4, and then we'll see if I can make it work. I'll have to watch a bunch of videos, see if I can make it work in the IK foamer. I don't think it works very well in the foam cannon. He's made that pretty clear. So. Yeah, I mean, the V3 I never really got to use very much because it was in one of his first iterations of bottles. So it was in a PET bottle, clear plastic, and it ate through that. And so now he has it in an HPDE bottle. So I never really got to use the V3 other than just I tried it once in a spray bottle. It doesn't really work without foaming. So I just wanted to see if it would. So yeah, so anyway, that's what you do. So I take 25%, put it in the foam cannon. Another thing that makes sense to me now, we talked about at the Rupas event. I'm always talking about, well, you might not, but other people do. If you take Adam's soap and you put it in your foam cannon, and let's say you used half of it, and then you just leave the rest, and you come back a week later, and you try to use it, and it doesn't foam for squat. So we had Dylan, Jason, myself, and everybody in the group. We had a discussion about this. It's a simple function of water has minerals and stuff in it, and so the surfactants and all of whatever is in the soap eventually it attacks or breaks it, the chemicals break down via working on the water that you have in there. So if we put DI water in the foamer, it should still foam the same. but because you're letting it sit and you're letting it essentially chemically react with whatever's in your water, you lose effectiveness after, if it sits there for a week or two. That's why I always dump it out and start fresh every time I do it. So I wonder if the wheel cleaner is going to be the same, because I used, put a bunch of wheel cleaner in there. So we'll see how it goes, foaming it the second time around, because I want to be able to just leave it in the bottle. That's the hope.
All right, Miklo, I like this. He's tuning in from Wisconsin while on his garbage route. Hey, Matt, have you figured out how to get the heated seats to work and airbag light off with the M3 with the Recaros?
Yeah, airbag lights off, all of that is coded out. I have a whole harness. I know how to do it. I don't have the right tools to do it, so I'm probably going to do it at PSI. But there's a whole harness you have to buy that's separate. And you have to take some of the teeth out of the Molex or something like that. So this is a whole big long process. So I probably will never do it. But I have the harness. The harness was like $150 or something like that. I know a couple of shops have provide that option, like EAS, European Auto Source, in California, and I think I&D can probably get it for you too. But I don't know. It's a big whole process that we're going to have to do.
So it's a harness. It's not one of those things that you have to get coded or whatever the term is, where the guy calls in and does it.
Yeah. Yep.
Gotcha. All right. Let's see here. The videos since last time we were here. A bunch of work on the 1M, and a couple people are asking what's the status update on the 1M. So what's going on with it? Sitting out there right now looks kind of
torn apart.
Yeah.
The freaking most in-depth intake install in the history of intake installs. About 40 or about 60% of the way through it. So I had to pull the bumper off. I had to take the secondary radiator out, put in a bigger oil cooler to compensate for that. So we had to flush the whole coolant system, dump that all over the place. And then we had to, disconnect the oil lines, put new oil lines in for the new oil cooler, take the old oil cooler out, put the new one in, and then now I have to cut a bunch of stuff to get it to fit. We took the charge pipe out, and so when we did the charge pipe, I had to completely reroute, or when I say we, I mean Mike, had to completely reroute and cut the lines for the power steering reservoir, and so we had to do all that and put new power steering fluid in. And now we got the charge pipe in. I've got to take the blow-off valve and turn it around because there isn't enough room for the vacuum line to clear the cold air intake, because I don't know that anybody's done this combination together. And so I'm hoping that the blow-off valve works backwards. So I'm going to flip that around. So I got to get some RTV, gasket sealant, and so I'm doing this all for about 6.5 horsepower. So yeah, I had an idea it was going to be involved, but not this involved. Thank goodness Mike was here. I would have given up a long time ago. Oh, and then to top it all off, I'm trying to pull the vacuum line out of the intake manifold, and on the BMW is just a big plastic manifold. There's a little nipple that sticks out, and I'm pulling, and pop, thing broke. And so I'm like, oh, this is like we're already in this a day and a half deep. And so then I'm like, well, I guess I got to go buy another intake manifold. Well, the intake manifolds are $1,000. So I broke that little piece. And so you'll see on the video, I'm going to tap. So I'm going to drill a darn hole in the side of the intake manifold and put a new barb fitting on it. And it'll be metal this time. And we'll seal it up, and I'll plug the original hole. So that should hopefully maybe even be better than it was stock. So I got to do that. I got to build. You basically build a box inside of the wheel well, and so for the cold air intake to go. And so you use the stock bottom of the air box, and then there's a cold air section that goes down under the into the fender well area, or in front of the fender well. And so you have to block off the brake duct and all that stuff to make it work. All for a few horsepower, but it's going to look really cool once I get it set up. Somebody's going to get hooked up on this car when it's done.
Are Ely hose reels still the preferred water hose reel for around the house?
Yeah.
Any
definitely.
good retracting reels similar to Cox?
No, see, with water and with high pressure and like dealing with a garden hose and trying to have it retractable, it just doesn't work very well. The hose is too heavy, too bulky. So I like hand crank wheels for that. You can like a lot of guys do the Cox reel because it matches their high pressure reel, and so but I would urge people to do the Ely still the best until I can get Cox to make something that's specific for garden hose. I would prefer to have the Ely hose reel and then my 5/8 inch hose. The Ely hoses aren't very good. They're good in a short inlet hose, and their termination is amazing. Like the quality of how they terminate the rubber into the brass connection or the threaded brass connection, but they're like the polyurethane really is just so grabby, it doesn't wind up very well. And then when it does start winding up well, it's because you beat the crap out of it. It just doesn't look as good. And that's why I've always gone and sourced my own hose, even from the very beginning. I'd bought some of the Ely hoses and I just didn't like them as much. And so that's the result of having the blue Obsessed Garage hose, which I have a guy make for me. That's made out of, it's a Continental industrial grade. I forget what I think it's called Conti Tech. But there are different versions of that rubber, and you can't source that rubber at like Home Depot or Lowe's or any of the other ones. So it's not the same as you see. That's why it's a lot more expensive. In fact, when I bought mine, I bought it from Adams. It was like $230. I think we're selling it for what, 90 or less than 100, depending on how long you get. So yeah, I'm a big fan of that blue hose that we have on an Ely hose reel. I just put one outside in Michelle's pool deck area.
What coating would you recommend being used on a matte black BMW M2?
I don't think I'd coat it at all.
What would you do?
I would go to Dr. Beasley's and do whatever their recommendation is. I don't have a lot of experience with matte paint, but you only get one shot at this. Whenever you put something on there, you can't get it off. I don't think you want to mess with that. SwissVax also has a decent line of products for caring for matte paint. So I would I wouldn't coat it at all. I would stick with either Dr. Beasley's or SwissVax or some combination of the two, because they put in some time and energy into figuring out how to maximize performance and protect that without clogging it up and messing it up and changing the sheen of it. Because we had a discussion. I think that's going to be the best part of this whole Rupes thing for you guys that are watching this. At the very end, we had like just a roundtable discussion talking about coatings and waxes and sealants and the decon process. And so we talk about a lot of the pros and cons of doing a coating. I take a lot of heat for people making fun of me about still doing wax and having to put layers of protection on the paint versus a coating. You can just do it in one step, but it's not that simple. I mean, a coating is not the end all be all. There are major cons to it, so we talk a lot about that. Not just me. I mean, it's all common sense to me, but some people are just so adamant about coatings, but they don't know what they're freaking talking about. You have to think through pros and cons. I mean, I have it on some of my cars, and some of it I don't. And so you have to really think this through logically and then make a decision. Either way you go, there's going to be compromise. There's no perfect solution when you're protecting. But yeah, on a matte car, you only get one shot. Once you coat it, you're screwed when it fails. Can't take it off.
All right. So on the subject then of coating, Spencer asks, on the 1M, you had Seacort's UK 3.0 on it originally, then did G-Technic. Currently, I'm thinking about switching to G-Technic later this month. Anything you can say about comparing those two?
They're both really, really good. I just like how G-Technic feels. I think it's one of the more durable. So I would probably, this is just my guess. I mean, I don't have anything evidence to prove this. I don't think anybody does either. But you have Crystal Serum Light, Seacort's UK 3.0, and then you have something like Crystal Serum Ultra or Seacort's Finest or Seacort's Reserve, Finest Reserve. I think my guess would be that Seacort's 3.0 is probably a little more durable, if I were guessing, than Crystal Serum Light. but I like the way that Crystal Serum Light feels. I like how water reacts. It tends to sheet a little bit more, a little less beading than 3.0. I think beads water a little bit more, a little less sheeting. These are very subtle differences. The main thing for me is I think Crystal Serum Light looks a little bit better, looks a little bit more wax-like. That again, these are really subtle. I think if you have a bottle of either one, I think you're fine. And I was really torn on which one was I gonna choose, without having again, I don't want to be retailing and have 57 different coatings, because I like a lot of them, but I give the slight edge to CSL because of how it feels when you touch it, which shouldn't be a thing because you shouldn't be touching it, but I don't give a crap. I like touching it. So that's part of the reason I like how slick it is and how easy it is to apply. It is easier to apply than UK 3.0.
Have you used Seacort's Finest Reserve?
I never have, no. I've seen it done. Again, it's the process a bit more complicated, just like Crystal Serum Ultra is a little bit more complicated. I'm sure the pros really like seeing me eating my words a little bit when I say, well, any idiot could install these pro coatings. I don't care, Yeah, I mean, it is a little harder, but still, once you figure out the nuances of it, it's every coating has some nuances to it, where you could screw it up.
At the Rupes event, did you get any insight into orange peel correction sanding?
Yep.
Was there any discussion about safe sanding on fiberglass surfaces?
No, we didn't talk about fiberglass, but we do talk about texture leveling and when to and when not to. So I got quite a bit of footage on that. I actually have that video half edited, so it'll probably be up Sunday. Yeah, I think because maybe Saturday. Yeah, well, no, Sunday. Yeah, because Saturday or tonight is Nick's Morton tour, which you can talk about a little bit here in a second. His update tour on his Morton building. And then I'll probably do episode 1 of Rupes on Saturday and maybe episode 2 on Sunday. So Saturday I'll have the sanding stuff up, just some insight into what Jason's talking about. A lot of machine, not so much hand. If you're interested in hand sanding, the best thing to do is watch the Jason Kilmer series where KXK came. That was 6 months ago or something like that. That series is really, really good. I think if you're it's not good for entertainment value. It's good for if you want to learn how to sand and you want to watch some videos about it.
All right, so this will be a good segue then into that. A couple people, the picture that we used was from Nick's garage with the yellow AMG sitting in there. And so a couple folks asked about, have you driven one? Could you compare that to the BMW M cars? Have you ever experienced that?
Yeah, I mean, I just rode in it with Nick. I think it's cool, man. The thing sounds amazing. The hood on that thing is hard to get over. It's so freaking long. I like that car. I didn't like it very much until I rode in it. But yeah, it's cool. But I haven't driven it, so I don't have a lot of experience with it. I mean, the interior is fantastic. The one thing that stinks is it has MCT, the Mercedes, whatever they call that thing, the goofy automatic, not really double clutch, not really automatic, goofball transmission. Yeah, Mercedes crap transmission. I'd have a hard time with that, but because the shifts are pretty slow. But the sound, I mean, their big old V8 sound amazing.
Which one does he have? Which model?
AMG GTR, I think. He can correct us. My Mercedes knowledge base is not so great.
At least you didn't call it an M1.
Yeah. So we were able to. This is Adam texting me. We're going to be doing Adam's Dundon exhaust tomorrow. I guess I'm going to have to push the 1M out the door. But
all right. So update on Nick's garage. Then did you visit again? Do we have a new video?
Yeah. So video will explain it all. We're next step. I guess I'm going to have to get on a plane and go fly out there and get the finished product at some point. I'm going in the summer though. No more winter crap for the polar vortex of 2 inches of snow. I don't want to get stuck there.
So, like, what was his newest thing, or the?
So he all the walls are up, and all the hose reels up, and the lift is operational, and we were able to dig in a little bit to the drain and how what does he call that thing? It's like backflow. I forget what he calls it. drip. Shoot, he'll tell us what it is. Where the water goes through the drain, so it cleans it out. He had that operational, and the garage doors were up and running. So we just kind of take you through an update. He got his sink. Got the stainless lines that he's doing for the pressure washer system that people are going to drive me crazy on because everybody's going to want that. Just know that doing that, it's already $500 and something for the Prevost, so add another, good $500 to on top of that to do stainless. So the hard part for me is that they're all custom cutting it. He's custom cutting it, pro pressing it, so it's hard for me to supply that to people because it's full custom. And so we just kind of take the tour. It's really good. And I tell you what, the darn GH5 looks pretty sharp there, Bricey. That GH5 over this Sony, man.
Flush flow, Nick says.
Flush flow, that's what it's called. Yeah.
Let's see. This is from our good buddy Brian Deal. For some time now, we've been hearing about a change/upgrade to water treatment, something other than CR Spotless. Any updates there?
I don't know what's going on with that. I guess I got to call Glenn again. RV Transformers is where you can get it. He's busy and traveling around all over the place, and I just haven't had time to focus on it. I need to buy them, video them, test them. But it's a big, ugly resin, the black resin tank. But the nice thing about it is they flow up to 10 gallons a minute, and we'll do 4,000 gallons of water instead of 300 gallons. It's a big, ugly tank, but it's considerably more efficient. And then you replace the resin yourself. And so I have to figure out a solution. The margins aren't so great on it. The other company is DI Pro I see around all over the time, people posting in the group. All these are just commercial tanks that they're being applied to simple with a head to make it simple, so you can just put garden hose fittings on it and call it a day. I got to get rolling on that. So we're finally catching up here in that Bryce and Ryan were blowing through the Prevost stuff that we've been procrastinating on for so long. The Karcher stuff is up, so the K2 through K5s, all those packages are up.
Correct.
Yeah. So everything's up except for a QD for the garden hose. Yeah, so we're the Karcher stuff is done. It was something that we've been procrastinating on. I think our Karcher K1700s are in transit, so they should be here soon. So I can make a wrap-up video. Once I make the wrap-up video of which of the cheap pressure washers I like the most, then I can get. I'm gonna buy the Sunjo and the AR Blue, the 630. I don't understand why people it's like. I guess I understand. They're trying to be rebellious, like they don't want to buy what everybody else is buying, I guess. Why do you even care about the 630 TSS? The Krenzel's better, and it's like $100 more. So what's the point? And you can get it. The other one, you're going to wait 6 weeks to get, 8 weeks to get the thing. It's inferior. It's an inferior pump. So why, to save $100? If you're in it that deep, you might as well just go and get the real thing. So I'm going to get that and test it, and then that we're also waiting on the Comets. So the Comets are going to take some time to get right. The AR is, I think, probably going to be a better pump than the Comet is, but it's $850. So what's the point? I want the Comet to be $450. Otherwise, just buy the darn Krenzel. There's no question. The fit and finish, even if the performance is the same, the fit and finish, the stainless valves, superior brass head, better electronics. It's just a better machine, fully rebuildable. I mean, there's no question the one you should buy. Even if the AR had a 0.2 more GPM, the Krenzel is still superior. It's a superior machine, and so I don't think that I'll sell the AR. But who knows? Maybe it'll blow me away. I've used it before and I hated it. So, and this whole argument of hot water, how are you going to get 180 degrees of water out of your house? You can't. So even if you had a stinky old, really, really old, boiler type water heater, you still are going to run it through either copper or plastic lines some distance through your house. So, and who the heck runs their water heater at 180 degrees? It'll cost you a fortune. So most people run their water heater at 135. I think the standard, Energy Star recommended rating to run your water heater is at 125 degrees, and the Krenzlas are rated at 145. The Comet's rated at 140. So the whole hot water argument doesn't make any sense unless you have a dedicated boiler just for your pressure washer, which nobody does. Especially if you're buying an $800 pressure washer and you're buying that because you can't swing the $100 for the Krenzla, you're not going to have a dedicated water heater. So this is the logic. People think that I don't think through this stuff. I've been obsessing about this, seems like, for years now, because I was interested in the same thing. I'm telling you what to buy, and it's not that I didn't think through it. Why did I get on this subject? Oh, so I'm going to buy all those to complete the spreadsheet. I've been holding on to the spreadsheet because as soon as I publish the spreadsheet, everybody's going to frickin' copy it and put it on their website. So I want to finish it, and I want to make sure that you can't copy it. I'm going to copyright the crap out of that thing. I'm going to patent the stupid thing. All these idiots start copying me. Freaking nothing frustrates me more than seeing my darn design, the MTM SGS 28, everywhere. Everybody taking credit for it. It's frustrating. It's my fault, though. I couldn't commit to that gun exclusively because it's not as good. It's a good gun, but it's not as good as the Mosmatic.
All right, kind of on that same vein of you touched on Comet. People have asked if we're going to have any sort of Comet configurator like we've had for some of the other.
Yeah, I think we'll put that together as well, so you'll be able to put together your own custom version. So I'm sure Bryce is excited about that. But yeah, we'll create a configurator for that.
So just make Ryan do it.
There's only one pressure washer. It's easy. If there's one product with 2 different types of pressure washers in that product line.
There you go. Then we'll have it up this afternoon.
Okay, 1 minute. It's really hard. I can't do it.
He didn't mean that.
Yeah. So we'll have that as well, and we'll continue to improve it as we figure out things. Like, for instance, how many emails do we get on people couldn't figure out how to screw the darn thing on because it's leak prone because of this funky BSPP fittings. And so, you were sending, how many screenshots of the video did you send to people? Like, they just screw it on and then they call us immediately and say it leaks. With any pressure washer, leaking is part of the game. So just prepare yourself for that. You're going to be chasing leaks from now until the end of time. My $10,000 pressure washer at my house, I'm constantly adjusting and chasing leaks. It's part of the process. So leave me alone on that. Fix it. I had one kit. Oh my gosh.
Here he goes. Get your popcorn.
Where's the Snickers?
Started sending me all these emails. He's like, this doesn't fit, this doesn't fit, this doesn't. I'm like, I'm telling you, there's no way it doesn't fit. There's any emails. Yeah, okay, you're right. I figured it out. So then he's using the foam cannon. He's like, the foam cannon leaks. I'm like, well, you're gonna have to send me some pictures. You can usually tell someone who's dumb and someone who's not, right? And someone who's like, look, Matt, I've done this, that. When they type in full sentences and they give me a paragraph, and they send me a few photos. Look, I don't think I'm an idiot here. I just want to check this out. And then sometimes we have a bad product. But you can usually tell when someone doesn't know what they're freaking doing. And so he's using the foam cannon, and he didn't screw the darn connection in. So he didn't screw the 1/4-inch plug. It's just whatever loose fitting. It just did it one turn with his hand. He's like, oh, I have to use tools? Should I? This is like 17 emails. Gosh.
Last week you said you were going to cut them off after 3. Everybody was cut off after 3 emails, but
I am a glutton for punishment. You got to work at this, people. I understand the sense of entitlement you get when you buy something from a company and you expect it to be perfect. Well, I'm telling you right now, don't expect anything I send you ever to be perfect because it doesn't exist. So I'm going to get you 90% of the way there. I'm asking you to get yourself the rest, the 10%. And I send you fittings, and it only goes in one hole, and they're like, well, how do I do this? Give it a whirl. Spend 12 minutes and put it together. God dang it!
Call your dad and your grandpa and ask them. They can help.
Not my dad.
No, not your dad.
Yeah, not my dad.
Your own,
dad.
Yes. I call my dad and my grandpa. That's what I do.
There you go.
All right, let's see. What is the best way to wash, clean exterior inside a garage that has no drain, so you don't want to use much water?
I would O&R, do a rinseless wash, where there's a bucket of water and a bunch of microfiber towels, and you just do more of a superficial clean. That's what I would do. So I wouldn't be spraying water all over the place.
An EA team who asked that, if you go back in the videos, it's only like 2 or 3 weeks ago, you have a video.
Yeah, where I
on
cleaned. Yeah, because it was like 50 degrees outside, and I didn't want to wash outside, so I cleaned the 1M here in the garage using O&R, optimal no rinse.
Did you install the Dynon front sway bar on your M3?
Yeah, I'm having problems with that. I think I figured out why. It's clunking, so you have to set up the sway bar end links when it's at full droop. And you have to set it up where they're basically just loose fit in, and then you torque everything down. But what you have to do is I have to then preload the suspension, remove one of the end links. I guess that maybe releases the pressure. I don't know, and then reinstall. So you readjust one of the end links. So that's what I've got to do to fix it, because it's clunking. I didn't notice too much of a difference. But then again, I chose the middle setting. I just did it because why not? I'm going to put on the 1M as well, as long as I can figure out how to fix on the M3.
All right, recently there was a video on the jet filtration system. So do you have any thoughts on that yet? Or
I don't know. It's going to take some time for us to see. We have to dust the whole place, like dust all the areas that are dusty. And then I don't know if you guys have been running it when I've been gone. We got to create a schedule for when to run it. We should probably run it every night when we leave. And we'll see if there's any kind of noticeable difference. I've got an electrostatic filter that they sent me that I've got to fix. I've got to re-glue it. But I don't know. It'll be hard to tell. The difference will be minor. Another way to tell will be detail a car or clean the car and park it in here and run it once a night or so, and then see if there's dust on the car, because right now there always is. We have dust from the microfiber towels, and then dust from boxes, and dust from any polishing that happens. So, we'll see.
Let's see here. After visiting Dynon/APR, what are your thoughts on the build quality of APR? Is it on the same level as Dynon? And if you had a VW Audi, would you use them for tuning/performance upgrades?
Yeah, time will tell on what happens with Dynon and APR. Dynon and APR are not Dynon and APR anymore. They're owned by this different ownership, and so a lot of the original guys aren't there anymore. And you can see they have some pains they have to work through in getting their facility organized and up to standard. So I think current products for all the current vehicles that they've been making, I think are fantastic. So like my 1M, I feel extremely confident buying all of the original Dynon stuff, because they had the original engineers and all of that. We'll put those parts together, and all they have to do is just replicate that. And that the parts I've gotten, it's clear they're great. The question will be in the future, if they don't have the same engineering team, the same process. There is a very real possibility that they improve, because now they have combined resources, and Dynon's good at certain things and APR was good at certain things, and they can share and cross-pollinate that information across to each brand and then improve both of them. But as of right now, it's a little wonky, and you can see that as they're trying to figure out what to do with it. But I think if you have a later model, an older model, then yeah, I think APR is great. I always have. APR has always taken a lot of heat on the forums, but that's usually by poor and stupid people, that don't know any better. You buy something that's highly engineered, and again, stop the expecting perfection and expecting to give everything away for free. There's this, so there's this herd mentality that tends to happen with with brands, and then APR has in the past been reluctant to just bend over for the forums, and so they've taken a lot of heat over the years, and I've always appreciated it, because I always look through the noise. What's really happening here? Let's look through the noise. Same thing with Dynon. Dynon takes heat for being too expensive. So let's look through the noise of all of that and look through the herd mentality and listen to it and observe it and understand it, and figure but then develop your own subset of information. and don't expect too much. You know, if an exhaust shows up damaged or dented, give them some time to work through UPS and figure out, what to do about it, instead of just calling it great customer service because they lose a bunch of money on every single customer. You don't want them to do that, because you want them to exist. So you want to work together with any car company that you're buying stuff from, instead of just expecting too much. It's the same thing with anything. Like, there was the second post I've seen with Adams. This is ridiculous to me. So on the Adams forum, there's a bunch of people that have all jumped on board saying, I bought something in Adams and my credit card information was stolen. So by proxy, and then another person said, yeah, mine too, and yeah, mine 3. And so Adams has released a statement, but after a while, this is another thing they were accused of, somebody had mentioned that, well, it took them long enough to respond. So after a while, after like 25 people getting on board saying, yeah, my credit card information was stolen, must be Adams. Look, there's 25 of us. Well, Adams does, I'm sure, 10,000 orders a month. So you have 20 people out of 10,000. How many times has your credit card information been stolen? It's 2, 3, 4, 5 times a year. Every single one of us. And so the probability of it being Adam's fault is pretty slim, especially since they've done, they've gone and looked and said, no one's got an email saying, or Adams emailed them, said, look, we realized that our system was compromised. And so they're jumping on board. I bet you $50 if we polled, 1,000, the last 1,000 orders we've had, there's probably a dozen that their credit card information has been stolen in the last month. And then some people are saying, well, look, the only thing that I charged this in the last week was Adams, and then my card information was stolen. Well, what about the other 6 months you've been using your card? Like, use some freaking common sense. So stop herding and think through common sense. The reason why I'm talking about it is because APR and Dynan take such heat, and I've been bigger fans of APR and Dynan than any other company for BMW and Audi, because of their resources, because of the research, because of their ability to produce better quality things, even though everybody else is telling you to JB4 your car and you got to go get this or that knockoff crap. So I would buy a late model in confidence, and we'll see what happens with the future of Dynan APR, because they have a lot to figure out.
We got a good suggestion here it's question/suggestion from someone on Instagram, 618 developer. With spring coming, I'm going to do my first paint correction. The store channel is helpful for each item, but have you ever thought of making a simple diagram/flowchart of the process for beginners on the site? Could be very easy to skip a step or do something wrong halfway through, I feel like.
Yeah, that's the goal, and part of the reason why hiring Ryan and having Bryce and Ryan work together, and then you're working with making sure the inventory matches up with what they're creating and making sure we can make it shippable. So now what I'd like to do is hopefully, and this is going to happen quickly, it's already happening, they catch up to the chaos that I'm creating, and then we can go and improve. And so take what exists, reorganize it, restructure it, create things like what he's talking about, flowcharts, create better configurators, simplify the processes to make it more and more understandable. And to be honest, selfishly, it takes the heat off of me of having to talk to everybody about it. If we can explain it more concisely with pictures and with photos and improve that, then it will make it that much easier for people to buy. Because I'm sure most people are like me. I don't want to talk to anybody. I just want all the information to be there and let me figure it out. But some of the stuff I have too much information, so kind of dumbing that down, or I don't want to say dumbing it down, eliminating some of the extra words that I tend to use, and simplifying it. So yes, that is a big step in the remainder of this year that we're going to work toward as we build out the process, build out the garage, build out the detailing packages, and so now I have the ability, since I have two dudes that can by proxy create better than I can create. I can tell them, here's what I want it to say, here's what I want it to look like, here's what I want it to, where I want it to be, and then they can go, and then that adds rocket fuel to the ability for us to create the store, the vision for what I have. So yeah, that is on the docket here in the next 6-8 months to get through.
All right, got a couple of people asking about updates for two things: bottles, number one, and then interior package.
Well, we thought they were sending us the bottles by air, but they're sending it by sea, so we're probably 6 weeks out. But it's customs broker's been hired, everything's good, they shipped, and so now we wait.
Right.
What was the other one?
Interior package.
Yeah, so that's going to be working on that next week. So we're almost through Prevost, so now I feel comfortable in going and chasing down Scan Grip and so the lighting packages, Scan Grip and Phoenix. And then we'll chase down interior package. I already know what it's going to be. I just have to line up all the relationships to get it done. Swiss Vax will be a new relationship. Griots will be a new relationship, so I've got to get those set up.
Have you ever had, I'm going to mispronounce it, Akrapovic exhaust on
Yeah, I
your
hate
cars?
those. I hate them.
How do you pronounce that?
It's Akrapovic.
Akrapovic.
Yeah, and somebody's gonna get bent out of shape. There's a guy online who shows, or explains, they pronounce it. Everybody just calls it Acra.
Acra.
They know it's Akrapovic. It's Akrapovic. So the Acra stuff is, the fit and finish is beautiful, but I always find them to be very OEM like. So why don't you just stick with your OEM exhaust? I've never been a fan. I had one on my F80, had one on the 1M that I just took off and basically gave away. I just don't like them. I don't think they sound good. And everybody loves them. I think, again, it's one of these things, everybody loves them because everybody else loves them. Well, I don't do what everybody else does. I'm not trying to be rebellious. I'm just being a realist here. I just don't like the way they sound. Titanium has a different resonant frequency. It always sounds thinner to me. And so, it's by far the most popular exhaust on the E92 M3. Also probably on the F80, but I don't get it. It's not my bag.
All right, how about an update? And I think we got a picture here to share. Kyle was asking about an update on OGHQ 3.0. I know you had a meeting this morning, and what's going on there?
Yeah, so a follower, Mark sent this to me. I don't know if he wants me to use his last name, but anyway, Mark with a C sent me a rendering, just a quick mock, and it was right in line with what I was thinking, and added some things that I just wouldn't have even considered, which this front section on the building here to make it like the hex. And I'm not going to, and I don't have an interest in creating a walk-in retail environment, right, where you have shelves and you pick things off the shelf, and that's what everybody else. I don't want that. I want the retail environment to be you walk into the warehouse and go into the back, and I want all the shelves to look dialed in so it almost looks like a retail store, but it's where we pack and ship. So I want people to be able to participate in that. And so this section here in the front is, I think, going to be on an unboxing studio. So I want the unboxing studio to be front and center. We'll have doors in and out of there that will be lockable. And then we're going to have 2 stories. So we'll have 2 stories set up above here. We're going to have at least an office or 2. But again, I don't intend on having a bunch of offices where people are doing stuff in here. Most of our creation is going to be in that building that's out front, which I think we're going to end up taking the roof off and making 10-12 foot ceiling, something like that, in that little house, that little 1,200 square foot house that's there. So the question now is going to be, can we build it this big? But what I'm going to do, all of this here, all of the frontage of the building is going to be that galvanized. So it'll be raw galvanized metal, which I think looks really modern. And then we'll do some blue accents in some of the areas. So we'll do blue accents, and then maybe one other color like Obsessed Garage gray. And so we're gonna do the overhead door companies will be overhead doors. And now I just have to get a listing of how many electrical drops and stuff like that I want. So again, this isn't going to be end all be all exactly what I want. I don't even know what I want. I just want a big empty building that I can put stuff in. And I know guys are going to have lots of ideas and lots of crazy things. We're just not going to be able to do crazy things. The financing, the risk that the guy that's building this is taking on me, it has to be more generic. And so a few things like doing recessed lifts we're going to do. But a lot of it's going to be very generic, very basic, and then we'll do. I mean, look at this place; it was generic as can be, and now look how awesome it is. So what'll likely happen is I'll end up keeping this place, and I don't know what I'll do with it, but we'll probably have this plus those 2 buildings, and we'll see what happens. You know, we'll see where we're at. If we continue to do what we're doing now, I'll keep both places. It won't be a problem. If we're doing a lot less, then we'll get rid of we'll get rid of this, take everything out of here. But this may become I don't know what. Now that I don't really have any aspirations to do obsessed garage detailing, I don't know. Yeah.
So what's the timeline here? Are we talking 6 months?
Yeah,
breaking ground a year?
We've got 3 months at least of permitting, and first we have to get the drawing. Then we have to have all the architectural plans done. Then we have to have the feasibility study done, and then we have to go to the city to make sure that we can do it, and then figure out all the other crap they're going to make us do. And so I'm guessing we're not even breaking ground for 4 or 5 months, and then it'll probably take 5 months to build it, 5-6 months to build it. So we're looking at January, February, March, a year from now. So we're going to be roughing it here. My corner office out in the garage is going to be where we're at.
Yeah, we need to do an updated video of what things look like around here now.
Yeah, I'm going to do that now that I was waiting for my cabinets to be finished. So my cabinets are done, so I'm going to do a cabinet tour. We'll do an OGHQ tour. Once I get the colors right on my Sony, we're going to make a OGHQ tour set up and to talk people through the methodology and what it's like here.
Do you have any recommendations for a trusted ceramic window tint brand? And then also tint percentage for Porsche 911.
I like Lumar Formula One Pinnacle, and now they have one that's even above that. But Lumar Formula One Pinnacle is a ceramic type. I like to do their 20%. It's either 20 or 35, depending on how dark you like it. But I like the 20%, which isn't as dark as you're thinking. And very, very doable at night. And then I like to do Lumar's Air Blue 80 on the windshield. 80% is my favorite tint to do on the windshield if you're a grown-up. If you're still in your 20s and you haven't quite driven around in a car with 50% tint on the windshield, then do that. But I would suggest sticking with something really light just to reject the heat. And Lumar CTX is another option. It's the sister line to Formula One, just depending on what your guy offers. I'm just not a fan of the XPEL stuff. Is a little milky. The Suntech stuff is a little milky looking. What are you saying? 3M. Yeah, 3M sucks. 3M is the worst out of all of them. 3M Crystalline. Crystalline has gotten better, but I don't know. I've had Crystalline on 3 cars now. 3M Color Stable is really milky. I had the Color Stable on the GT350. I don't know. I'm just a real big fan of Lumar. I've had the only one I've never had is Uber Optic, which I think is good. There are some other off brands too, but my choice is to do Lumar.
Could you talk about dusting a completed vehicle? I live in New Mexico, and just parking at work will leave a layer of dust. What would you recommend for daily or more than daily dusting?
Yeah, I wouldn't mess with that. That's where you run into real scratch problems. You're either going to have to soak it down with something like Optimum OptiClean, which is a waterless wash, and some really soft towels and lots of towels, or you're just not going to mess with it and only do full wash. Like right now, mine has a dusting. The car's pretty clean, but it has a whole dust layer of pollen. If you've ever seen pollen under a microscope, it's basically like Armageddon to paint. So you think you can go wipe it off easily, but then you're going to scratch the crap out of it. So even if I wash it today and then let it sit for an hour, then it's going to be covered in pollen again. I think you just have to let it be dusty most of the time and just wash it once a week, or wash it twice a week, which I wouldn't do. I would just deal with it being dusty. Because if you start doing that, you start rubbing on and loving on the paint, use something like a California duster or something, you're going to run into scratching issues. So I tend to err on the side of not messing with that. Another way to do it would be that you do an O&R wipe down. But again, now you're almost at washing the car.
Let's see here. Have you been to Europe lately?
Never. I've never been there. No.
I'm sorry, Ruben. He can't offer up any suggestions in Europe.
Yeah, I've never been there.
Let's see. Black Celica, yes, we addressed that a little earlier. There's going to be an update video on the garage coming soon. Nick's garage.
Yep, tonight.
Um,
There's something else I wanted to that I was getting cranky about.
have you heard about Spectra PhotoSync tent?
No.
Max says he thinks you'd like it. It's probably the most pricey on the market, but worth it.
Yeah, I haven't seen. There's a lot of off-brand stuff that I'm sure is pretty decent, but I've just never experienced. A lot of it comes down to dealers looking for some sort of competitive advantage, and if you're a tint. Again, I'm not a tinter, so I don't have a lot of experience other than the stuff that I've had on my cars. But I'm sure there's some off-brand stuff that is up and coming that's great. The only way to find it is to find somebody who's an expert in it.
All right, so that's all the questions I see for now here to address. You said you wanted to rant about something. I'll say hi to my daughter Caroline because I know she's watching. She's out of school today.
Oh, spring break?
Yeah, spring break. They have a work day today in Orange County, Lake County, Marion County.
Yeah. No, I think that's about it. We can call this a short one here today.
Here's a good one. We might end it with this. How's your training going after you complained about your walk up the stairs? How's it going at the gym?
I don't even want to talk. I'm going to stop talking about it. Not great. Like freaking the CrossFit Open, I'm doing terribly. Could be doing awesome, but no. I have to. I'm too excited about all this cool stuff I got going on. So yeah, something's got to give here. Today's day one.
For those of you not aware, every day Matt says today's the day or tomorrow's the day or on the snake juice diet.
Yeah, I'm back to 242, 243 again.
We might need to do another weight loss challenge.
Yeah, shoot. Yeah, don't remind me. Not doing great on that. I got to go out and build my desk and start to put that together and figure out what that's going to look like. And then I got to get back to the 1M. I got to get that thing done. And then tomorrow, Adam and I will be doing his Dundon exhaust. He's coming up here.
This is Adam LZ.
Yeah, so we'll be doing that on his GT3. I got to do a lot of stuff within my GT3 as well with fixing the yellowing from all of the exhaust being catless. And then again, I want to start playing with some other exhaust because the Dundon catless is amazing. But I'm going to go away from catless. So I'll probably end up with the Dundon Street, which is what we're doing on Adam's car. So I'll probably end up with that. So I'll get to see it. The Street just has cats with their loud center muffler. So we'll see what that's like. And I may end up doing that, but I'm going to put the AWE on just for the fun, just to see what that sounds like. And yeah, then I'll be up in the mountains in a few weeks, say 5 or 6 weeks. I head to California on Sunday, not this Sunday, but the next Sunday. I freaking hate traveling, but I guess I'm going to be traveling again. So I'm going there to do the Leno's portable Crenzo solution smoking tire. I'm going out to Meguiar's. So we're going to be talking about a lot of the Meguiar's professional line. I don't freaking give a crap about the spray ceramic wax that everybody's all excited about. You literally couldn't give two craps about it. But maybe we'll talk about it just so I can rag on it a little bit. But we're going to be doing like 110, 210, 101, 100, the solvent-based polishes, digging into hyperdressing, digging into some obscure stuff that I don't even know about. So I'm going to have the whole team there. I think Mike Stoops is going to be there. Nick, Marcus. So a lot of the guys from Meguiar's going to be spending a lot of time just digging deep. I can't recall seeing, other than people's individual videos, Meguiar's specific. Like I know they do a lot of big stuff. This I call it what we're doing, little stuff, like little promotion, where I don't really care about the promotion part of it. I care about the detail, and I'm going to ask the questions that I think we all have. And so the guys are going to be, we're going to have a day and a half or 2 days there. The other thing I'm trying to do is I'm trying to convince the company that makes my decon soap to let me make it on camera. They're freaking out. I don't think they're going to let me do it because they're like, this is so like, it's so shocking to this part of the industry that it's so secretive and nobody wants anybody to know anything. I want to mix it on camera and show people what it is and say good luck. and talk about why and how and what it's about and how it works. And so I'm trying to convince Eddie to let me. I gotta call him today or tomorrow and convince him to let us shoot a video. They're concerned about, these facilities are a mess. It's a chemical mixing plant, and they're like, well, what's it gonna look like, and what are people gonna think? And I'm telling them, I say, look, nobody cares about any of that crap. I want to see it. I want to be in it. I don't want to come into the retail storefront. This is why I'm not going to build one. Nobody wants that crap. I don't want to go sit in the waiting room. I want to go help the guy put my wheels on. Everybody wants that. And so I want to bring the camera in and show people that. How are you making this stuff? I want to see it start from the raw materials and go down to the barrels. And maybe we don't show you all 90 ingredients to go into. Maybe we show you 80. So you'll mess it up if you try to replicate it. But nobody's going to be copying it. It's not all that complicated anyway. Any of these companies could probably reverse engineer it anyway. So I'm trying to get Jimbo to let me do it. Jimbo Balaam is he's the salesperson or the liaison. He's the one who called me and said, "Hey, I think I can help you figure out a decon soap." And so I said, okay, well, I said, good luck. So they sent me the stuff, and it was dead on. It was amazing. I'm like, okay, we're good, and we can produce this. By the way, I want to change it. I want to make it purple because I want it to look like the purple that iron removals do. It just made more sense. And I want it to be thick, and I want it to be this and that, and I want it to work this way. And so he's the liaison for that. And so I want to be the first guy to go show everybody what it's about instead of this bull crap, secrecy, stupid, these guys pretending like they're selling, 50,000 bottles. They're not selling 50,000 bottles of anything. They're just, Adams is, but the Adams is massive in comparison to any of these other goofballs that are mixing up some of the bull crap that they're pitching. And being so secret, pretending like they're mixing it up in their garage. No one's doing that. They're all going to a guy like Eddie, and Eddie's got a chemical producer, and they're mixing it up. And then there are lots of these companies all over the place. So anyway, I want to show what that is. I don't want to read the MSDS on the thing that doesn't tell me anything. I want to see it. I want to see what it's made out of. I want to say, how does this? I'm super interested in that. How does this work? So anyway, I'm not promising you anything, but I'm going to do my best to get that done. And if I don't get it done this time, I'm going to get it done next time. And I'm really interested in that. And the other fear is that when we're carrying cameras, they're making products for everybody. It's for all these companies that don't want anybody knowing who's making it. And so I want to. I just won't. We need to reassure them that we're not going to put that on camera. Let's just carve out a little spot in the corner here, and let's mix up some purple soap, and let's show everybody what it is and how it's made and all that.
Sounds simple enough.
Yeah.
All right. We'll close with this then, talking about events. Chris Dontelli asked if there are any OG training events in the summer.
No. I'm going to do something here soon. I got to figure out what that would be like. It would be more pure, like total process driven instead of so like Rupes is very targeted, very specific, to paint correction or sanding or something specific, and then obviously heavy in Rupes tools and the Rupes processes. What I would do if I was would be sharing more process and critique. I'm actually probably better at critiquing it than I am at doing it, because I've been to more trainings than anybody or most people have. And so I've seen, a bunch of different processes from production type detail, you're just doing as quick and dirty as possible, get the job done, all the way to the most sophisticated processes. And and I've seen it with like Jason Kilmer and wet sanding, and so I've been coached and trained and taught by these guys, and I'm not making any bones. I'm not good at it. I don't have that artistic ability. I'm not very good. I wouldn't say I'm bad, but I'm not good with brain to hand. I'm not a great mechanic. I'm not a great polisher. I'm not a great detailer. But I do have a knowledge base that most people don't have. Even, like Jason Rose hasn't gone to Esoteric's training, and Esoteric hasn't gone to Jason Rose's training, or I'm just using an example. Maybe they have, maybe they haven't, but I've gotten to see what all these guys do, and so there's a knowledge base there that I'm hopefully able to impart and share with what I've come up with. And then I think an interactive training where we kind of get a group together and kind of share processes in here on my turf with all this cool stuff, I think it'd be really, really interesting and really valuable to people. So obviously our facility is not so big here. So when we get into the new facility and we have 2,000 square feet carved out for just that, then I can do it big time.
Yeah. So Chris, no trainings currently scheduled. There is an OG gathering in the mountains in North Carolina, right, in June.
Yeah.
And then in July, there's one in the Pacific Northwest.
Well, we have one in April. We've got the Monterey trip.
Right. April is California.
Yeah.
So if you're near any of those areas, there will be get-togethers, but no training scheduled during the summer.
Yeah. So I think ultimately the trainings will be better received here because then you get to come be in it and be a part of it. And then I can bring people in here too. When it's above my head or over my head, I can bring in Jason Kilmer to come teach sanding to people, and then, we can have all walks of life from beginners to advanced. And then I'd also like to host some trainings, some events where it's not so expensive, where it's more people, less money. But, I can't, just because of what we're doing here and the scale of it, I can't do something and carve out a week or 3 days and have it not pay me something. I've got to justify the time in order to survive. And so if I'm going to pull myself away from creating a new product or something like that, I've got to create some way to pay for that, because I am not seeking sponsorship from others and things like that. So I've got to, again, figure out a way to pay the bills and pay the salaries and to justify creating so much content that I'm hoping people are enjoying. So, yeah, that's the story.
And if you joined us late or you didn't hear everything, this will be up on the YouTube channel later.
Yep.
And then also released as a podcast as well. So if you need to go back and listen to any of the beginning that you might have missed, that's coming out later.
Yep. Yeah, and we're getting there. I think we're really going to catch up to start to create more specific podcasts, host guests, and things like that. So we're headed in that direction to be much more efficient and not be so far behind on the vision that I have. So eventually I'll probably create enough chaos where we'll get behind again. But I really think I really enjoy the podcast, and I'd like to do some more solo stuff and some more interview type stuff as well, in addition to this kind of thing. So we'll be doing more of that. Anyway, short one today, I guess short-ish, right around an hour. But anyway, thanks for listening, guys. Thanks for watching. For the couple of hundred of you that are watching now, thanks for showing up. I know this is a weird time, and we'll have more this week as I'm back in town here. I'm sure I'm going to be up to some ridiculous antics, and then I'll be out in California capturing some stuff, some information that I have an interest in knowing. And so I'm hoping that some of you will too. It's also going to be cool to build a cart version of a pressure washer system.